Welcome back. In this video, we should be able to get the objects being picked up and some sort of score being recorded. And also we'll deal with something called prefabs. And so we'll do that right now. And what we're going to do is go back to your assets folder and just create a new folder called prefabs. Prefabs stand for prefabricated, and they're a great way to if you're going to have multiple instances, so multiple copies of the same object, it's great to use prefabs. Really easy to create prefabs. You simply drag it in when you're happy with your prefab. And so I think we're pretty well okay with our little COVID guy here, so our virus. So all we have to do is drag it into our prefabs. What you'll notice is it becomes blue here. And then that way, whenever you need a new one, you can just sort of come into your prefabs and then drag it in. So you could put multiple copies of it into your game. So I'm going to just throw them around wherever they are. Okay. And then you've got a bunch in your game. Now, let's just say later on you go, oh, these are too big. You know, I want them about half the size. Well, you could go back and change each one. You can multi-select and so on. But the easiest way to do it is actually go back to your prefab. And you see if I click on it here, it says open prefab. I can open the prefab. It isolates it. I can come into here. Let's just say I'm going to make it half that size. Enter. And what you'll notice is that all of them have done that, because they're all sort of copies of that original one. So that's a really easy way of making those changes to everything. And it's highly suggested that you use those prefabs when you're going to create multiple copies of it, multiple instances. Okay, let's go and deal with sort of a score here. Before we do that, well, actually, no, let's go and do the score. So what I'm going to come in here is to your movement script again. And that's sort of got everything on it here. And what we'll do is we'll put in, your score will be an int, and we'll make it called score. So we're going to do that. So what we want, oops, I forgot semicolon. What do we want? Well, we want the score to increase when you kill a virus. So I'm going to come down to here. And so we said if, right, we tag the virus, we got it to disappear. Well, I'm going to get the score to increase. So what I'm going to do is set the score to be whatever the score was, and we'll add 1 to it. Okay, yeah, so we've done that. I'm going to actually make this a serialized field as well, just so we can see it. Serialized field, there we go. Okay, so let's take this back to Unity and see what's happening here. Where's my Unity? There we are. Wait the seconds here. And when I hit play, what I should notice, and actually let me just go to my virus killer here so we can see it. There is the score there. So hopefully, yep, it's up by 1. Hit another one. It's up to 2. Clean this one over here. 3. Good. So we are collecting these guys with no problems, okay? So yeah, it's working there. Now, of course, the problem is if you're playing this, developed it for your phone or whatever it was, we couldn't see the score. So we want to create some text on the screen so that we can show the score. So I'm going to do that by coming under game object, UI, so user interface, and text. This is a pretty basic text. Once you put that in, it will create what they call a canvas. And this canvas is sitting on top of the camera. It looks a little bit weird here, but it's sort of this big box here, and that's the outline of what the cameras are seeing. You can see it was sort of new text down at the bottom, and you can actually see it down here as well. Now I'm going to move that up and to the right a little bit. So what I'm going to do is come into my text here, and actually we'll call this score text, just to be very clear. What I want to do is anchor it to that top left. Now, if it says Shift and Alt, I'm going to put it into that top left. And that's important because all screens for your different devices are of different sizes. So this will make sure that it's always anchored to this top left. I'm going to move it a little bit over to the right. And so maybe about 12 there, just do that. And then down a little bit, just to push it off the edge. So maybe -7. The other thing I'm going to do is in here, just change the font size a little bit bigger, maybe like 24. And here, instead of new text, I'm going to put in roughly what it's going to look like. So I'm going to put score, and we'll start out with 0. Now, we're going to modify this. This is just to make sure that the score is showing up. Okay, so that's the score text. Good. What we want to do is sort of code this in our game. Okay, so I'm going to go back in. I'm going to create, now this one, I'm actually going to put public here. So we can just drag this in, text, and then, okay, just a second. And I'll show you something really cool here in a second. And we'll call it score text. Now, there's an error here, okay? And it's saying basically, if I put my cursor over it, it says no namespace called text could be found. Are you missing a directive, a using directive? And notice up here, there's these usings. And so what I'm going to do is put my mouse over it, and it actually will give me some options. And this option is what I want here, using unityengine.ui. It puts it up there, and now notice the text is recognized. So if you want to use the user interface, you have to put this in up here. And this is what I really like about Code Studio, is that it will give you those suggestions and help you out quite a bit. So what we've got here is we can sort of set the text. Okay, now I'm going to come down, and we're actually going to create a little function called update score text. Okay, because we're going to have to use this multiple times. So I'm going to go void update score text. I'll just do this. There we go. And so we got a function called update score text. And so what it's going to do is it's going to take the score text dot text. So this is on the score text, the text box. So let me just show you that quickly. So right here, right, score texts text box, we're going to modify that, and we're going to turn it into so it's going to say score, colon, and then put a space. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add on the score itself. And because it's an integer, we need to change it to a string. Okay. Now, at the moment, this would never run because it's never called in our game. This is not a special one like on trigger enter that would run when something happens. This one here is just needs to be called by our program. So when do we need to call it? Well, we need to call it after they score, right? We need to update the score. So we simply do that. The other time we should call it is right at the start of the game, because we should set the score to 0. And I'm actually going to put that in here, right here. So I'm going to set the score to 0, because when we start the game, it should be set to 0. And then we're going to update that score text. Let's see this work. Now, don't forget, we've created this reference to the text, and we didn't find it or get the component. So what we need to do is go into Unity, check out our virus killer, and you'll see there, where are we here? There's our virus killer. Just looking for our, there it is, movement script. We'll see none rigid body or speed or score 0. There's our score text. It doesn't know what the score text is, so I'm just going to drag that in. There we go. Hit play. Nothing looks different, so that's good. But now the score is updating. Perfect. Okay. Now, what we can do, let me just check the time here. We'll do the next thing very quickly. We're going to put a thing that if you collect all of them, you win. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is make sure we're out of play mode. Add another score text, or another UI, another text. So not a component, sorry, game object text. And we'll call this win text. And what we'll do is we'll put it right in the middle. So I'm going to make sure on here, Shift and Alt, put it centered. Okay, so you can see it right there. I'd also center it both ways here. And we could put some inspirational text here. You are a winner. Okay. And increase the font size. Oh, it disappeared. Don't worry. Okay. If it disappears, a couple things you can do. One is there is a text box width, and you can see it right here. It's 160 by 30. You could either increase that size. Okay. Now it's too big because the height's not enough either. There we go. And it pops in. So you can do that. You can also change the overflow to overflow and also overflow. Okay. Up to you. I just increased the size there. We don't need that much width. But we needed that height there. Good. And so like I said, it's centered. If you want to change the text color, you can. Wherever that is there. Font text. Used to be able to change the color on here. It seems to have a material now. We'll leave it black. Oh, there's color. There we are. Maybe turn it to red. Perfect. They always change things up a little bit. Hard to see. Okay, there's the color. So now we got that. So let's just go back into our code. And so we want to, now, like at the beginning, we would have the text saying you're a winner. So we need to make sure it's not saying anything. So what I'm going to do here is make another public text, and we call that win text. And at the very start, okay, we're going to set that win text dot text to be nothing. This is called an empty string. There's no characters in there. Okay, so it would just be blank. And then what's going to happen is down here. So as we add the score, what we should do is check that score. So another little conditional here, if the score is probably greater than or equal to some value, and we'll leave that blank for a second. What we're going to do is we're going to run that, we're going to set the score text. So win text, my fault. Win text dot text, and what did I say? You are a winner. So we'll do that. A couple exclamation marks. See how this goes. Okay. Now there's a little error here because we didn't figure out how many. So just quickly going back to Unity. How many did I have in here? So 6 plus the 1, so 7. So let's just make it 7 here. Actually, let's just make it really quick. I mean, it should be set to that number. I'm just going to set it to 2 just to make sure it works. We're running out of time on this video. So just as it refreshes, I hit play. So first of all, I make sure you are a winner disappears. Once it plays here. There is an error. I didn't put that null reference exception. I forgot on our virus killer. Notice how I created the spot for it, the win text. I didn't put the win text in there. Oh, notice that. It didn't change its name. Do that. Now we're just going to go for 2, and it disappeared. That's good. There's 1, and I'm going to be a winner. 2, you are a winner. Good. That's working. We'll end this video here, and we'll wrap it up pretty well in the next video.